Upright. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on Let's Talk. Listen, hit the share button, invite someone to come on. We're going to be speaking to our graduates tonight. We're going to be talking about our journey still, time of celebration, the proms, the graduation, heading off to college. That's what we're going to be dealing with tonight. This whole month, we're dedicating to graduation, proms, weddings. This month is usually that time of the year. But let me talk to the parents for a minute before I bring the graduates on tonight. If you're a parent of a school-age child who haven't graduated yet, you should begin preparing as early as the sixth grade. It's said that many students need to start early. Listen, the preparation should not only include putting away money for college, but it also help your children develop proper study skills, study habits. Reading is so essential as a part of college. Set parameters about what you should be realistic, able to afford when your child is heading off to college. Should a child expect the parents to pay for college? Should children pay for their own college? And let me tell you why as soon as we go a little further. If your student is entering college this year, the transition from high school to college can be a big change. For most, it will be the first time they will leave their family and friends and embark on a life on their own, making new friends, developing curfews, knowing when to be able to go in, having proper study habits, whole life-changing experience. While shopping for their dorms, looking for color schemes, and all of that, help them minimize the stress of preparing for college by planning early. Now, number two, talk to them about management skills, balancing their social life and their academic life. Because once you're not around, they can party all night. We have kids who went to college and never went to school. They went to the parties and dropped out. So it's very important. Talk about your financial support. Let them know ahead of time what they're able to afford. Help them get on a budget. Talk to them about their finances. Many children, when they get to college, open up credit cards, max out credit cards, come back from college in extreme debt because they were never told on how to balance that. Once they get to college, it seems as though all the banks chase them down to open up credit cards. Many of them take out school loans, use the school loans to purchase clothes and shoes and all the name brand things, and don't pay their college bills. Wind up leaving college sometimes with over $100,000 worth of debt. Something we need to think about. Well, in doing research on this subject, we found some interesting stats. 51% of students take 6 years or more to complete their degree. Are you prepared to support your student financially beyond 4 years? Listen to this. 33% of students drop out after the parents have taken out a loan. Kids don't finish college. Parents are still stopped paying the loans. Have you ever thought about that before you sign those papers? Listen, 28% of those who drop out do it before their sophomore year. There has been 4.3 decline each year in children enrolling in college since 2019. Some of it is because of the pandemic. Some of it is financial state of the families. They're just not able to. Parents who have been saving for college has reduced contributions by 27%. Parents who have been saving for college don't do it anymore, just can't afford to save for college anymore. In a recent poll from CNBC, 53% of parents have no savings for college. 38% have neither planning or saving for their student. And 21% of families were using their retirement to underwrite their student college degrees. It's an amazing stat and what's happening. Many of our children are coming out of college with a phenomenal amount of debt and not finding the jobs that are able to finance the debt that they're coming out of college with. Just imagine if you come out of college with a $100,000 loan. What salary are you going to need to pay for an apartment, a car, insurance, and still manage your debt? Think about it. Think about what our children are facing as they come out of high school and prepare for college. Have we really prepared them for college? Or have we prepared them for the day? Have we prepared them for the journey? We're going to talk to our college students tonight and our high school graduates tonight. And the first young lady I'm going to talk to, Zoe Russell, is going to join me tonight. I have known her dad for over probably 25 years, known her family very, very well. Zoe's going to be joining me now, and she's one that has just graduated Harvard Law School. And I'm really interested to know what her journey's been like. Come on, let's welcome Zoe tonight. Good evening, Zoe. Good to have you on board with us tonight. Listen, take a moment and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Zoe Russell.
Sure, it's wonderful to be here. So, as you just mentioned, my name is Zoe Russell. I was born and raised in Boston, and I recently graduated from Harvard Law School, which was interesting because I actually went to Bucknell University after I finished high school, which is in central Pennsylvania. Afterwards, I worked for 2 years as a paralegal in Atlanta. So, I kind of was away from home for 6 years. I went from a very rural setting in central Pennsylvania to kind of a metropolis in Atlanta, and then somehow ended up back home in order to go to law school. And I'm very excited for what my next steps are.
Well, we were looking at some stats with Harvard, right? It says here in 1869 was the first graduate from Harvard. They talked about 1925 was the first time housing was allowed for Blacks at Harvard. What was your experience at Harvard for you?
Yeah. So I think there are actually three ways to describe it. The first is what it's like to be in kind of like a graduate school setting, to be at Harvard. The second is what it's like to be specifically at Harvard Law School. And then lastly is what it's like to be a Black person or a Black woman at Harvard Law School. So to be at Harvard in general, it's kind of this like overwhelming idea. Even growing up in Boston, you never really went to Cambridge. There wasn't a reason to. It was just this place that where Harvard was. I didn't really think about it until all of a sudden it was an option for myself. And so there's this really amazing thing that happens, especially as a Black woman, where when you get into Harvard, everyone else Black that you see says, no, we go to Harvard. We got into Harvard. We're so proud. So there's something communal about it that never ceases to amaze me and feels like such a blessing. It made me feel like my community was always with me. To be at Harvard Law School is a little bit different. Harvard Law School is one of the oldest institutions in the United States. It's literally called the corporation on paper because that's how old it is. And then you have this idea of the law, which really was made for rich white men and was never really changed. As most of you know, they had to go back and add us in as an amendment to keep people from treating Black people differently or treating Black people badly. And the reality is that it's really not that much different now. If you feel like you're being discriminated against on the basis of your race, you have to prove that they intended to do so. So even though many of us know for a fact that the laws of this country treat Black people or other people of color or other marginalized communities differently from those who make up the majority, you would have to prove intent in order to prove that that is happening, even if the facts tell you completely differently. And so to be in an environment where that is the norm, where people affirm it, where you have classmates that say it out loud like there's nothing wrong with it, takes a toll on you. And so then the last part, being a Black woman at Harvard Law School, means carrying a lot of different things. It means carrying your community, carrying the pride of your family, but it also means carrying the burden of these laws that are going to be very difficult to change, that are very difficult to challenge. It means carrying the conversation when you're around a bunch of white folks who've had money for a really long time and don't quite understand what you mean when you say you can't go to the same things that they go to and you can't do them the same ways that they do them, or that you think of the law differently than they do. And so it was a really long 3 years filled with a lot of mixed emotions.
So do you still see the racism, prejudice on campus?
Yes, you absolutely do. You see it in the way that individuals treat each other. You see it in the way professors treat you. And you even see it in the way that Harvard administrators treat you. It is pervasive, it is evident, and it is mind blowing. It's hard to describe really, but if you can imagine, you're sitting in a class of 80 people, and the class is criminal law, and your peer that's sitting next to you says that everyone who's in jail deserves to be there, and your professor doesn't challenge that, doesn't say that there are other ways to think of it, or invites it as a conversation, as if that's not something that the professor should address right away as something that is incorrect because of the way that the prison system impacts Black and brown people in low income communities, the way that many of us are pulled into that system, even though we know that it's because they are discriminately applying the law in our neighborhoods, that they are deliberately telling police to patrol our neighborhoods, and they're not going to the white neighborhood up the block or the white neighborhood across the bridge. And so to hear a peer say that and have a professor, instead of saying absolutely not true, but to invite a debate like this is something we should question, is what it means to watch the law be used for racism in action. And it was something to witness.
I had a chance to watch your graduating class. How many Blacks actually graduated with you? Do they have a count?
That's a great question. So it's hard to know beginning to end necessarily, but I don't know of anyone Black that did not graduate with us who started with us. Each there's maybe 12%, 10 to 12% uh, of African Americans make up the entire body each class year. And so there's about 560 in each class year, which means there's somewhere between 50 and 60 Black folks each graduating year.
Wow. Did you find in the classroom the majority was white? How
Oh,
did you cope in the classroom?
yeah, it is majority white almost all of the time. Even in classes where you'd expect it to be more Black folk, there may be more of us, but it will still mostly be white folks. And that is, I think for me, it's not necessarily different from my experience. Unfortunately, the way that this country addresses education, the higher you go, the whiter it gets. So as soon as I was identified when I was younger as an intelligent young woman and articulate for my age, I was funneled into those classrooms that had more access to educational means and special circumstances. And the further along I got on that track, the more my classmates ended up being white. So it wasn't necessarily something I was unfamiliar with, but the way that law students in particular conduct themselves made it a strong distinction. Law students tend to be very type A. We tend to think that we're right all the time. We tend to think that we have the ability to fight something, even if no one else would bother. We feel entitled to take it on for ourselves. And so imagine a lot of white people who feel that way about life. And then imagine yourself there every single day, seeing all of these things, all of these discrepancies in the law that don't make sense, but they feel 100% to be correct. And that's what it feels like to be in a classroom in law school.
Listen, what sacrifices did you have to make to go to law school? And why Harvard? Why did you choose Harvard?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll start with the why Harvard part first. I actually did not think of Harvard as my end goal. I have two younger siblings. One is 16 and one just turned 14 last week. And when I was in college, I was away from them for a really long time and I missed them. I really only applied to Harvard because it was home. And I didn't expect to get in. And even once I got in, I didn't expect to go. But God works the way that he works. And he whispered things here and there and drops little hints in the places as he does. And I ended up at Harvard Law. Obviously, it is extremely exciting to have been accepted and extremely exciting to have had that experience. But it was really different from the one that I conceived when I first started my law school process. But what did I have to sacrifice in order to be in graduate school? I think there's something about law school that is separate from the regular graduate school process. It is very rigorous. It is centered on, the professional world. From the moment you get there, you're kind of asking yourself the whole time, what comes next? Who do I need to speak to? Who am I supposed to be talking to? What experiences am I supposed to be having in order to make sure that when I graduate, I am going to my next step? And that provides an added layer of intensity to the process. And so you may set other things aside. You may make yourself do things that you wouldn't normally enjoy in order to make sure that you're prepared for what that next step is. And I did find myself doing some of that. On the other hand, I am someone who does not like to decide things, and I don't like to set things aside if I want them. And so I firmly believe that there are parts of you that you don't let others set aside, that you take for yourself. So, being back home, that meant I had access to my home church, the one that I grew up in. So Sundays were for church. We didn't study on Sundays. We didn't stay home just because things were due. We were in church every Sunday because my relationship with God is tantamount in priority to whatever else is going on in my life. I love being creative and I love the arts. And so I was in a dance class at least once a week when the pandemic didn't keep everybody at home. And even when it did, I found online stuff because I was going to find a way to move my body, find a way to be expressive, to find a way to do the things that brought me joy in the middle of something that was like very, very structured and very difficult. So there are things like that where you might think, oh, you have to sacrifice and like set aside the things that you love in order to move forward. And I don't believe that that is a thing people should do. That's how you burn out and let go of your dreams because they feel unreachable. In order to continue to move forward, you have to make time for the things that keep you fulfilled as you work towards your goals.
Well, I know you come from a long line of preachers. Yeah, your grandparents are both preachers, your aunts, your uncles, and I know your dad is a maestro when it comes to music. I don't know if anyone greater than your dad in music. I've watched him grow up, and I just really love him. And I just want to tell me, how did that play a support? Because I know there's times when you hit those rough places, you need grandma to pray, daddy, somebody to pray. How did that affect? How did that really play such a support in your time at Harvard? How did that work for you?
Yeah. That is the kind of question that will make me cry on the spot.
Oh
I
no.
not I could not even begin to explain what it meant for my family to be here for me. And it's funny that you asked that question because I tell people all the time, everyone in my family is some combination of teacher, preacher, and musician, and I'm a lawyer, which I think is so funny. But again, to have been home for Harvard, to have been home for the pandemic, to hear people, complain about all these things and say, I'm going to go call my mom. And I'd be like, I'm going to see mine on Sunday and she's going to give me a really long hug. That was extremely beneficial to me. So their physical presence was huge. To spend time with them, to love on them, to pray with them in the present, in the physical was huge. And on top of that, I think that if there's one thing that families can do for their Black children in general is to make space for them and to validate them. The world that we're growing up in and that we're living in, there are some things that are very much the same, but there are a lot of things that are extremely different in what we have to deal with and in the ways that we have to function. And so sometimes all I needed for my family to say was, I hate that too, or I'm sorry that that happened, or I hear what you're saying. Because how wild was it that I went to Harvard Law School and 2 weeks in, I came in and said, I hate it here. I just felt like that was the strangest thing I could have ever said. I didn't know how they were going to take it. I thought they were going to say, you're out of your mind. This is the best thing that's ever happened. It's going to be great. But that is not what they did. They 100% supported. They listened to what I had to say. They were angry when I was angry. They were sad when I was sad. And they celebrated with me. They celebrated with me when I was celebrating. And that was so huge to have behind me. And I know many people who didn't. And I am blessed, blessed, blessed to have the family that I do.
Well, this morning when I was praying for you, I said to myself, I bet you Zoe's going to either Washington or New York. Where is Zoe headed to?
God is always on point. I'm headed to New York. I will be working for a nonprofit that does defense work. So I will be doing civil family defense, which means I'm representing parents who are at risk of having their children removed by the state.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Listen, what advice would you tell the other students that are getting ready? We have some high school graduates that are coming. We're going to show you pictures also from graduation. But we have some high school kids that are coming on shortly that are getting ready to go on to further their education. What is something you would tell them to encourage them?
Yeah. There is, oh man, it's so hard to give advice. I think that hearing you speak kind of about finances, that is so huge and important. I also think about kind of the extremes of how going into college and higher education tends to work, which is like, you don't want to go in there all willy-nilly and not know what you do. And then on the other hand, there's you always, make sure that you're not so rigid that you don't have a 10-year plan because you don't want to be so focused that you miss opportunities. And I like to tell people that you should kind of marry those two. You always want to have your finger on the pulse of what happens. Where do I feel like I need to be next? What makes me feel good? What makes me feel like I'm in God's path for me? Have I spoken to him about that lately? Where do I feel like my skills and talents lie, and how do those align with where I am now? And what do I need to do to get there? So that's kind of thinking flexibly. How do I move around where I'm at? How can I make more space for myself? How can I connect myself to other people to grow my network? How can I shift from, ooh, this is something I don't really like, but I need, to, ooh, this is something I really love, but can't necessarily do right now. At the same time, always measuring those goals and saying, this is what I need. I'm doing what I need to do in order to get there. But you know what? When I'm looking at it, it's not quite for me. I'm going to shift into this direction, which means I need to reorient all the things that come before it in order to get to this new place. So I would encourage folks to think about flexibility. How can you marry flexibility with goal setting in order to make it to where you want to be?
Wonderful. I mean, excellent, excellent, excellent. I really appreciate that. Listen, let's show Zoe's picture. Let us get to see her graduation as she graduates from Harvard Law School. Amazing. We're so proud of you. And thank God that you were able to finish. Do we have another picture? There was one with her. There it is. That's my picture of her actually holding that finished paper, that degree in her hand, and that she's on now to further her career, fight for families. I am so proud that you are really now going to fight for the families. New York needs you. I don't think you'll be in New York all the time. I think you're going to be doing major work in Washington. I really believe in my heart you're going to be one of those that change the laws that be changed. It's time for laws to be changed. And now that we have someone on Supreme Court, I really believe it's time for changes to take place. And I'm looking forward to hear great and mighty things about you, Zoe. Thank you for joining me on Let's Talk tonight.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You're welcome. Well, that was Zoe Russell. I hope you enjoyed her. Our Harvard graduate. So proud of her. Her grandparents are the godparents of my daughter, and I've known her father for many years, a master. He's one of the teachers and professors in teaching music. So we're just glad that she was able to stop by. Well, these young ladies that are going to be joining me for the rest of the night are young ladies that literally their parents put them in my hands. I have blessed them. I've seen them grow up. I've seen so much about them. And so I wanted to just show them. There'll be more coming on before the end of the month. But tonight, I wanted you to meet Alexis and Aaliyah Thornton. Their father's a local pastor, Pastor Rob Thornton. Their mother is a counselor, therapist, great people of God. And their daughters are here tonight. They've graduated from Plum School. So welcome Alexis and Aaliyah Thornton tonight to Let's Talk.
Hi.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
We're good. Thank you all for coming on tonight. So introduce yourself, Alexis. Tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Alexis Thornton. As you just said, I just recently graduated from Plum Senior High School and currently will be attending North Carolina Agricultural and Technical in the fall.
So, wow. Leah?
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Thornton. I also just graduated from Plum Senior High School, and I am also going to North Carolina A&T in the fall.
Well, tell me, Alexis, what made you decide on that college? I saw you. Did you visit Harvard? Did you get to visit Harvard?
I didn't get to visit, but it was a great campus. It was great.
So what made you decide on the college that you decided on?
So initially, like you mentioned, I was going to go for an Ivy League for my undergraduate, and I thought it'd be a really great experience. I unfortunately didn't get accepted into that, but I also realized that I had my entire life to be surrounded by a competitive environment in a school where I felt like I had to fight to make my place, because I also want to go to Harvard Law School. So I wanted to lean more towards an HBCU for undergraduate, and North Carolina A&T just kind of drew me. It had a lot of opportunities in the field of study that I wanted to go into, and it had a lot of connections that were coming out of my school. I know recently someone did an internship with Apple and Google coming out of that school, and I just thought it would be an amazing experience as well as an amazing opportunity. And I wanted to take advantage of both in my undergraduate before I headed on to law school.
Wonderful. Aaliyah, what made you decide?
It was more of the location, because it's further away. I kind of wanted to experience like a new terrain. So that's something I was looking for in college. And then not only that, I kind of wanted to get the experience of an HBCU, because we've been at a predominantly white school. So much of our life, I kind of wanted to really dive into that Black culture that I feel like I was missing before going into my grad, which is probably going to be mostly white people. So I was like, maybe I should get the HBCU experience before.
Well, what made you all decide to go to the same college? But you all didn't think, okay, we've been together all this time. Should we do something separate? Did you all ever think like that?
I did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did. Those thoughts definitely crossed my mind, as I do tend to be more independent in things. But I don't know. Just growing up together, I knew that our paths differentiated like so much that I felt I still wanted a few more years with her before we really broke paths. Especially going 7 hours away, it just helps to know someone, have someone in your corner.
Tell me something. I have to ask this question as you all head out. I've always thought, Alexis, you are the talker. You were able always since little to articulate. I even thought you would actually be a news reporter. Law school is good, though. Law school is good. But you always seemed to me always able as a little girl to articulate exactly what you wanted to say. And I'm listening to you now, and I can see. I think you need to hook up with Zoe and let her give you some insight on what that Harvard's going to be like. But I always saw you as that. Now, Aaliyah, you're the creative one. You're more creative but quiet. But what are you all studying when you all go away? What is it going to be like?
I'm studying psychology, so I'm going for mine. I'm gonna go and become like more like a therapist, like my mother, but I'm going more of the psychiatry route. So I'll be prescribing medicine as well. So yeah, I guess that is more of the less talking field, more listening.
Yeah, you like, but you always, you're not, well, I won't say quiet, because when you're around your friends, you're not quiet, but normally you had that about you, that you were more of the calm one. Now, Alexis, I always told her that, even when she was at church, that she was just such a excellent speaker. So I'm not surprised that law is pulling on her. Now,
Yeah.
tell me, do you have a full scholarship going? Is it, well, what kind of finalized for you to go to that college?
So we both received merit scholarships, and my dad actually, because he was a veteran from the military, we were able to receive the in-school rate rather than the out-of-state rate for the school, and the in-state rate is covered completely by our merit scholarship. So it kind of just seemed like the set place to go. It seemed like God had kind of like set that in place for us, because no other of the colleges that we looked at, their in-state rates weren't as low as, or weren't like matching the price that we received. So it was just really beneficial.
Wonderful. Now, tell me, what did your parents' role in helping your decision on college? Because I remember your dad was taking you to different colleges. What was their role to kind of help you decide on this?
They, in my opinion, were more on the side of like, we'll let you decide. Like we would ask them certain questions, and they'd be like, well, it's your decision. So they were more like taking a step back. But I know that for especially my dad, he definitely wanted us to be in a community where we felt comfortable, I would say. So he knew that in certain schools where like it would be just like, for example, Pitt, we were thinking about going there, but it was to be just like where we left. So I think he was like giving us a different outlook. So he just made us give like a tour of all the HBCUs to make sure that we saw somewhere where we really felt comfortable and like where we were.
But tell me something, knowing your mom, didn't she prefer you all to stay close to home?
She did. As the closer, I mean, they did guide, so they had their favorites, and especially Pitt being my mom's alma mater, I definitely could see some biases coming out, and then even my dad vying for IUP. But it was nice to have a guide in my corner, but not so that it was controlling almost. Like I felt free to make my own decisions, and since I'm going to be having to make a lot of them, it kind of just set me up for my future, because I'm going to be having to make those decisions without someone telling me what to do for me. So having them in my pocket was definitely a bonus. But they definitely as the days get closer, they're getting a bit more yes, they're not willing to let go.
Well, you've both grown up in church. You were literally born in church, grown up in church. How is that playing a role in your lives now going to college? What kind of foundation you're taking with you to college?
I would say it's played a big role in like really who I am as a person, because the older I get, the more I see how like different people can be. And like you can definitely tell like if they've grown up in the church or if they're kind of like finding their own way or if they're just lost. So it's definitely helped me kind of see those things, and also it's kind of helped me want to become closer with God, because I've just seen how he works through people's lives. And college is such a hard time for people because it's like right like smack dab in the middle of you becoming like who you want to become, basically. So I definitely wanted to have a strong foundation with him, like just throughout my whole journey, like even finding a church in North Carolina.
I ask you that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
For
That's
me,
amazing.
personally, growing up in the church helped me to establish my own foundation in the church. As you said, my parents are both like very strong in the church, and my dad's a pastor. But it helped me to not go because they wanted me to, but rather to go for myself. And I feel like establishing that relationship and establishing that connection for God, like even if like I don't have to rely on humanly people, if that makes sense. I mean, I always have my sister around me and I always have my family, but there's a point in my life where I'm probably not going to have them to rely on. And there's just always someone in my corner. And going to college with that is like, is monumental for me.
It's
It really,
amazing. It's amazing. Well, I was going to say that as Aaliyah said that, and I hope you all make sure you find a very good church in North Carolina. There are very good churches there. I know quite a few pastors there. Make sure you have a church home there. That way you stay active in church, keep those voices singing for God, and really do what God has called you all to do. Where do you see yourselves as we wrap up? Where do you see yourselves? I know college is it, but what after college? When you get through this season, where do you see yourselves? I want each one of you to tell me.
I would say I don't know like where in like place, but I really don't see myself in Pittsburgh. I've like kind of learned that like I'm more of like a adventurous type, so I kind of definitely want to branch out. But I see myself in a hospital somewhere, definitely. Just like helping people and like helping them get through like the times they're in. I'm not really sure. I've been looking at like San Francisco, or that's way too far, but like this
But
somewhere,
it's somewhere far, somewhere.
yeah. Not somewhere too far because my dad might get a little mad. But
That's all right. Alexis, where do you see New York, Washington, especially if you're going to law school, you look like you're going to be
yeah.
a world changer.
I do definitely. And some of those Washington and New York, and I really appreciate you saying that. I do want to go to law school. I'm not sure what law school, God has on my path yet. Wherever he goes or puts in place for me, same thing. Like just like Zoe, like wherever he sets up the steps for me is where I'll go. But I definitely want to go to some of those like higher traffic places I can like really make a difference with my career.
Wow. Well, I'm going to make sure you have Zoe's number. That way, when you're away, you can call her. She has a heart for young people. Like I said, she's going to New York to work with families that are struggling. And I think if you hit places or you want some information on college or law school, she'll be a good person to pull on. So I'm going to make sure Minister Kathy gets that information over to you. But I am so proud of you guys. I really am. Your parents have done an excellent job in what you all are doing. I'm going to show a few pictures of you if you don't mind. I want everyone to get to see you guys. Let's show a few pictures. There is prom. There they are at prom. Oh my goodness, look, all grown up. I don't know what to do. When I see those, I want to cry because I still see babies. But that was prom. And let's see some. There they are getting ready with their college T-shirts on, getting ready to head off to college. That's the college walk. And oh my goodness, you guys are absolutely gorgeous, looking good. Listen, let God be leading you, be the instrument that keep you in college. Be safe out there, and know that we're praying. I still pray for you all the time. I still do. Although I know you all are all grown up and mom and dad does, but I still like to keep you all in prayer. Love you guys. Listen, go conquer the world. Go discover America. Do everything well, but keep God at the top of your list. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You're welcome. Well, that was Alexis and Aaliyah Thornton. Listen, those girls are heading off to college. I know their parents are getting nervous. They're going to have to drive them 6 hours, get those dorms set up, get them ready. And we're just so glad that they're able to go and be able to do the things that they are called to do in this next season. I'm too excited at these young people. After hearing how many people drop out of school, after hearing how many times people don't finish college or finish high school, to see these graduates finish high school, not only finish college, but go on to law school. I wanted to encourage our children tonight to do what they can do to be the best that they can be. Listen, let me introduce you to Kylie Edwards tonight. Come on in, Kylie. Good to have you with me tonight. I have
Hi.
met her also as a baby. I remember when her parents put her in my arm. She was a little baby, cute as a button, and now she's heading off to Carnegie Mellon. Let's talk. Would you introduce yourself tonight to us, Kylie?
Yes, hi, I'm Kylie Edwards. I just graduated from Gateway High School, and I will be attending Carnegie Mellon University in the fall, a part of their School of Drama, to pursue a Bachelor in Fine Arts in Musical Theater.
Well, from the time, I want to think, maybe when you were 3 or 4, you started really young. You started really liking the arts, dance and singing real young.
Right.
Tell me some about it. How long has this been for you, Kylie?
It's been a very long time in the making. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, and then I started competitively when I was 5 years old, and that's when it started getting real for me. And then in my freshman year, I decided to do the school musical, which put me on the trajectory of musical theater because I didn't really see myself doing that because I was a competitive dancer, as I said before. And so I thought more of like kind of a commercial dance kind of scene or some company work. But my experience in my school musical my freshman year just completely changed my life, honestly. And so from freshman year until now, I've been really working hard to get into the top musical theater programs, and it worked out that way. So that's kind of been the trajectory.
How has the arts changed your life? How has that changed your life?
The arts has shaped my life. Like I said, we just talked about it. It's been in my life since I was 3 years old. I have a lot of artist family members, so I feel like I was kind of born into it in a way. But yeah, it's quite honestly shaped my life. But I also value academics as well, and my parents do as well. So I think having both of those values in my life has helped me in my artistry and vice versa. Like the artistry has helped me be more creative in the academic world, while the academics have helped me be more structured and logical in the artistic world. So they've gone hand in hand, and I'm just so grateful for the arts, quite honestly. It's my refuge when I'm kind of having a hard time. I can just go and dance, or I can go and sing, or do what I love to do, and everything goes quiet for that specific time that I'm doing. And it's just been such a blessing to me.
Wonderful. Tell me something. Recently, I was reading over on your mom's page. You've been awarded I think there's 2 honors. Is it the Shine Awards? There's 2 honors I saw. Tell us a little bit about that.
So recently I won the Gene Kelly Award for Best Actress in a Musical. And I also won the Shine Award for performing arts. Sorry, excuse me. So those are the 2 that I just won. I feel very grateful. It's kind of been crazy this entire year. That's the only word I can think. It's been such a culmination of kind of the work that I've been putting in, and it's just been everything that I could have ever dreamed of. So it's been amazing kind of receiving that recognition, even though that's not why anyone does it. It's nice to feel kind of that validation for the work that you've been doing.
Wonderful. Well, my daughter had a chance to see your school production. I wasn't able to attend, and she said you did a really excellent job. Now, I understand from one of the awards, you're now going to Broadway this summer. Tell me about that, because I need to make a drive to New York.
Right. It's a really great opportunity. The Gene Kelly Awards are the regional high school musical theater awards. So it's throughout all of Pittsburgh. And if you win that, then you go to the Jimmy Awards, which is the National High School Musical Theater Awards. I'll be there with 91 other winners, and we'll be staying at Juilliard, and that's where we'll be studying and coaching our work and working on the entire show. And then we get to perform at the Minskoff Theater on Broadway, and we get to put on a show, which is really crazy. It's like my Broadway debut, kind of, which is something I can't believe that I'm saying. And so I'm just really grateful for the opportunity, and I'm really excited to go. I leave pretty soon, so.
I understand that. And so high school is over, you're finished. How was that journey?
It was a journey for sure. I don't know. I feel like I kind of stepped into who I really am in high school, because I think that's when you kind of figure it out. You make new friends and you meet new people, and that's who you find out who you really are, when you're kind of discerning the kind of people that you want to be around and the kind of people that you don't want to be around, and finding the hobbies that really interest you and kind of light you on fire in a way. So I think I found a lot of myself in high school. And like I said, that was my first experience with musical theater, which is what I'm throwing myself into now. And so it's been such a journey with that, and kind of just finding myself and being comfortable in who I am, as a Christian, as a Black girl, like all of those facets that make up who I am, and as an artist, you know. So yeah, it's been a journey for sure, but I'm very grateful for this time that I've got to do lots of discovery. And also I'm excited for the next 4 years to continue doing that and continue learning about who I am, so that I can step into the person that God has intended me to be.
Well, tell me a little bit of how your family. Now, I know your aunt sings. I know your dad is a musician. I know your mom is also an excellent singer. I know you've got music all around you, but I know how your mom is about education also. She's a stickler when it comes to education. So she wants you to be well-rounded, not just music, but all of it. How did both of your parents play a role in pushing you into this area?
Right. My parents have been amazing. My entire family really has always been so supportive of what I wanted to do. From the time I was young, like I said, academics were always important to me, always important to my mom. If I brought home a good report card, which I always did, I would get like a special surprise or something like that. So they always just encouraged me to be the best that I could be. I was lucky enough to be in the gifted program since the 3rd grade, and I graduated with distinguished honors. So like I really work hard in my academics, and that was something that was really important for them. And Carnegie Mellon, although that I got into the arts program, which is very difficult to get into, I got in academically as well. And that's something that I can attribute to my parents, because they've always pushed me in that area. And also, even though my parents aren't dancers and they're into the music realm, my mom was always working on me with my solos. And even though if she couldn't give me the correct terminology, she would help me to the best of her ability, which I will always appreciate. And they were always just pushing me to be the best that I could be, because they knew that I wanted to walk into this world. And so they wanted me to be the best that I could be at what I was doing. So I'll always appreciate them for that.
Why do I feel like I'm going to be losing Kylie, not from Jubilee alone, but from Pittsburgh? Why do I have a feeling that Kylie is going to be in New York somehow, or one of those major cities where your craft will be able to be developed? I don't know if it's California, New York. Where do you see Kylie going?
I see Kylie going all over the place, wherever my work takes me, wherever, like if I'm very interested in the arts, like we've been talking about this entire time. I'm interested in live theater. And so like the main hub for live theater is probably New York. We've all heard of Broadway, but I'm also interested in TV and film. So that could take me California, Spain, anywhere around the country. So hopefully I'll be in little places all around, but Pittsburgh's definitely home. I'll never be gone for Pittsburgh for long. That was kind of interesting to me when I was choosing between schools. There was a different school that I was pretty set on going to, and it was kind of far, not too far, but it was not Pittsburgh. And I visited there, and I didn't love it as much as I thought I should love it. And then when I was at Carnegie Mellon, I was like, this is home. Like, this feels so much more comfortable to me. So Pittsburgh will always be a part of my life. It's where my heart is, and I'll always be here. But other places too.
So what actually made you choose Carnegie Mellon? What was it about there? You said it felt home. Was it being close to home, or was it what they had to offer?
It's so crazy because I really did not think I was going there. I really did not think I was going there. And so even though my parents and my family really did want me to be a little bit closer, because it's right there in Oakland, and it's like in the hub or in Pittsburgh. But I did not think I was going there at all. And then when I visited it, it was just a feeling of peace. And it's interesting because my aunt was talking to me throughout this entire process, and she was like, God will give you reassurance when you're in the place that you're supposed to be. And I felt that reassurance at CMU that I didn't feel at the other place. And I was like, okay, well then this is where I need to go. I shouldn't have to force a feeling of comfort And I think it's already going to be a difficult experience because art schools are very difficult and CMU is one of the most rigorous ones. So it's already going to be very difficult. So adding on another layer of discomfort wouldn't have been conducive to the learning that I want to do. So it was just a feeling of reassurance. And kind of the second I stepped onto campus and I like was able to go into the classrooms when I was visiting, I was like, this is the place for me. So
Yeah, that is it. What is Kennedy going to do without her sister?
Kennedy's very excited to be without her sister.
Are you going to be on campus or are you going to be at home? Are you going to
I
be
will be staying on campus so that I can kind of get that university type feeling, but don't worry, I'll like pop by at a game. She's a varsity cheerleader this year, so I'll just maybe show up with a Kennedy sign so that she remembers that I'm there. But I think she's excited for me to be going up to school.
I don't think she wants you to go too far either. You know, she's left at home, and I'm sure she wants to, if she gets to see you. But make sure you come home to church on Sunday. Make sure we get to see you.
Right.
Tell me something. Where do you see yourself in the future?
In the future, hopefully, I'm still doing work that makes me happy and not just what people expect me to do. I hope to do things that touch other people as well. It's been like this year, like I said, this year has been pretty crazy, and I feel I've been able to touch people in ways that I didn't know. Like whenever I won the Gene Kelly Award, I received a message from a girl that was also in the show, but I had never spoken to her before. And she told me how seeing me up there as the only Black candidate, only Black finalist up, assured in her that she could also do it. And that was just a game changer for me, quite honestly. So I hope that I'm still doing work that has that effect on people, because that is the main reason why I do it. I love to perform, I love to be on stage, but the connections that you can make with people is the reason why I truly love it. So that's what I hope that I'm still doing, and that I'm touching a lot of lives with the work that I'm doing wherever it takes me.
What do you think is going to come from all the hard work you've put in? I know you've done Dance Moms. I know you've done the musicals. I know you're going to Broadway. And Kylie, to tell you the truth, I've watched you put in the work. You didn't slide in under the radar. That's not who you know. You put in the work. I watch you put in the work. I watch your mom get you to every meet that you wanted to go to. I watch her hop on a plane. I watch her do. What do you think? How do you hope will come from all of this hard work that you have done?
I feel like it's already coming to fruition this year. I cannot talk enough about this year. The accolades that I've received have been something that I could have never imagined. That's not true. I've imagined it and I've hoped for it and I've worked toward it. So it's great to see it all come to fruition. But people who haven't known me long think that, oh, well, you're Kylie Edwards. Like, this is you. Like, this, it makes sense. But that it wasn't always the case for me. I've had to put in a lot of work. And so I'm glad that it's finally come to fruition and God has just really followed through on his promises like he always does. And I just hope that it continues to do that. I'm going to continue to work hard, even though I've been blessed enough to receive awards recently. I'm going to keep up with that work because obviously it pays off. So yeah, I just want to continue working.
Tell me something, Kylie. How has Jubilee impacted your life? You've been
Jubilee has impacted my life so much. Like you said, you've known me since I was a baby. I've been in that church since I was a baby. And Jubilee, I think, was one of the first places that introduced me to dance, quite honestly. And that's shaped my life. Dance has done so much for me. So yeah, Jubilee has really shaped me. And it's been so important for me in the world of the arts to stay connected to God and grounded in my foundation. And Jubilee has helped me do that so much. And yeah, it's just been such like a solid foundation for me, a solid constant for me, and that I will always be grateful for.
I wish I had sent the picture of you dancing as a little girl to them earlier, because I would have shown it. I definitely would have shown it. And I blew that one. I should have shown that picture when you were dancing as just a little girl.
Oh, goodness.
Let's show a couple of Kylie's pictures. We have a prom picture. There she is. You were prom queen, right?
I was.
That is Kylie heading off to the prom. Wonderful picture. What else do we have of Kylie? And there you are, graduation time. My goodness, I am so proud of you to see you as you finish strong and have accomplished so much in your goals. I have one more picture to show. That's it. That's my favorite. That's my favorite picture of you, Kylie. But I wish I had the one you had on a little red dress with the gold in it. I wish I had it.
I remember which one you're talking about.
Next to that one to show dancing as a little girl in church, and now heading off to Broadway. I am very proud of you. Thank you, Kylie, for joining us tonight. You know we're going to constantly keep you in prayer. Your parents have done an excellent job, and know that your Jubilee family loves you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm having a ball with this, watching these girls. One of our other spiritual daughters could not be here tonight. There was a conflict in her schedule, but I did not want to not show her or talk about her a little bit, and that's Jalen Walker. Jalen is also a high school graduate, heading off to college, has been just a stay, just a pillar in Jubilee. Saw her as a little girl. Her and Kylie was at their first dance. I really wish I had thought about it. I would have shown those pictures. They were just little tiny girls, and they were growing up in the arts. So were the Thornton girls. They all were dancing together, and just watching them grow up now, heading off to college. It's just been amazing. Jalen, her mother, Janine Walker, has been serving this ministry in our worship department for years. And she's also getting ready to head off to college, but she could not be on tonight. But I wanted to make sure we still honored her. We still honored her mom. And there's other graduates we have in the church too that we'll share later on in the month. But listen, she's graduating from Propel High School. I know she's going to stay local for college right now, but also wanted to share her pictures with you. We're going to show you Jalen at her prom. Just wanted to, there she is, absolutely gorgeous. Thanking God for her. That's her at her prom, heading off to her prom. Beautiful as ever, very energetic, very creative, is one of our singers, sings on our worship team, very pleasant, gets along with everyone, and we thank God for her being a part of her graduation. So sorry she couldn't be with us tonight. Here is her on graduation day as she's wrapping up her time in high school. Like I said, from Propel High School, she also won some awards. She was valedictorian of her class. She finished top of her class. I remember her mom showing her just dancing as she became the valedictorian of her class. But look at her hat. I couldn't miss this. You know, we had to make sure you saw this. With God, all things are possible. I bet her and her mom designed that hat because, I mean, it's literally, as a single mom raising her daughter, her mom did an excellent job in seeing her through this time. And maybe later on in the month, if she has schedule changes a little bit, I still have her come by. But I wanted to also just recognize her and all of these young people, because when you look at the stats at how many don't finish, when you look at the stats of how many are going to college unprepared and will not finish their 4 years, I really wanted to take time to show you that there are young people, when they have God in their life, when they have built a solid foundation. I tell parents all the time, one thing about these kids that I really like, they were always in church every Sunday. They were here. I don't know why parents think Sunday is an option for kids to come to church. It was never an option in my home. It was not an option in many of their parents' homes. They were always here. They were dancing on Sundays. They danced for all the special events we had. They had singing. Everything started and culminated in the house of God. And I want you all to know, as parents, don't just let them go to all of the football games, basketball games, cheerleading games, everything, dance. But don't give them a solid foundation in church. They need to be in the house of the Lord. They need to be in Sunday school. They need to be learning the word. They need to know how to pray, because once they leave for college, too late. You can't fix it. You can't change it. Nothing can be done. And so we want you to have them in a balanced life, academically, spiritually, prepare them for the world. Because listen, so many things are happening out there today. Our children need to be wise. They need to have wisdom, and parents need to be the background, the foundation of their children. We should not leave the schools to train our children, and we should not leave the world to teach our children. Raise your children up in the house of God. Every one of these young ladies I shared tonight have been a part of the ministry of the church, or their parents or grandparents have prayed for them. And it's so important tonight that you lay a foundation of God in the lives of your children and your children's children, so that they are able to finish strong. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so glad Zoe stopped by. Alexis and Aaliyah, I'm so proud of those two girls. Kylie, thank God for her tonight showing up. Appreciate Kylie coming up, and also for Jalen. Looking forward to see what their future is going to be like. Maybe we'll come back in September and see how first year of college is. Thank you all for joining us tonight on Let's Talk. God bless you.